Now, is that enough? If you take Michael Moore's debunking of the green energy market, if you add that to the fact that the people who are promoting climate change risk, their own numbers disprove their major theme, that is cataclysmic. Indeed, their own numbers show we wouldn't even notice. Is that enough to say that climate change is a hoax, even if it's true, the CO2 is causing warming, and even if it's true, we wish it weren't? I think yes. Then what about climate change? What's the biggest hoax about climate change? Now, I'm not the person who's going to tell you that the scientists are wrong. I'm not going to tell you that CO2 has nothing to do with warming. I'm not going to tell you the Earth is not getting warmer. I'm not a scientist, and I don't trust anybody who is on this topic, nor can I evaluate their work independently. So I'm solidly in the camp of, sounds important, we should pay attention to it, but I don't know what to think because I'm not qualified. No matter how much effort I put into it, I put a lot of effort into it. I spent a year tracking down left and right opinions on this to see if I could form an independent opinion, and couldn't, because both sides lack credibility, and I can't judge them independently. So, but here's something that I can judge because both sides agree. And I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. The side that thinks that climate change is cataclysmic has estimated that in economic terms it could take 10% off the GDP in, 70 years, I think. Let's say that's true. Let's say that worst case economic prediction is exactly accurate. That's telling us it's no big deal. Because a 10% reduction in what the GDP would have been in 70 years, remember, everything doubles every 10 years. It's just the way stuff works. So now let me reverse that. I was going to talk about something else, but let me just say that in 70 years, if at the end point of that 70 years, our GDP was 10% less than we thought it could have been, you wouldn't even notice. So in other words, the people who are most concerned about climate change, the people most incentivized to give you a scary story, have put their best people on the case and come up with the scariest story that it'll be a 10% hit to GDP that we wouldn't even notice, because that hit is spread over 70 years. It's not even like the hit comes on the 70th year, which maybe would count a little bit. The 10% is spread over 70 years. It's like, a little bit this year, a little bit this year. You wouldn't notice any of it. And that's the horror story. So I would say that based on the climate scientists' consensus about the economic danger, and I think they all buy into those numbers, that's shown as a hoax in terms of, not in terms of the science, because that part I can't evaluate, but a hoax in terms of how bad the problem is in the future. Now, I haven't looked into this myself, but I understand that Michael Moore has come down on the side of green technology being a scam. My understanding is that somebody he's closely associated with, must have been his director or producer for his earlier films, made his own film about green technology. He went into it thinking that he was going to show that this is the way to go, green, 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 and discovered that it's all a fraud. That if you look at, say, electric cars, an electric car is a coal-powered car. An electric car is a coal-powered car because the coal plants make the electricity goes into the car. It's a coal-powered car. But the public sees it as green technology. Now, of course, if all the other sources of electricity changed, well, then it wouldn't be a coal-powered car, but nobody knows how to get there except for nuclear power. and that's apparently not on the green people's list. So my understanding is that the film is going to come down hard on green technology being the way out. Now combine these two things. Roger Moore, who has, did I say Roger Moore? What's his actual name? Moore? Michael Moore. Roger was in the title of one of his films. So Michael Moore, I don't mean James Bond, who would be Roger Moore, but Michael Moore is credible. He's credible on the left, and if he says something that the people on the right like to hear, well, then he's credible on that side. So suddenly you have the most credible person you could imagine who would be believed by both sides, which is very rare. But let me pause to give Michael Moore a compliment. I would say that I disagree with Roger Moore as much as I agree with him. So I'm not on his team, but I'm not against everything he says. It must be called out that he saw Trump coming before anybody on the left did. He understood the population, he understood the voters, and he understood Trump as a showman because Michael Moore is a showman. I think he got Trump the way other people didn't. And so I give him credit. And if it's true, I'm still waiting for some verification, but if it's true that Michael Moore has looked at the data and made a U-turn on green energy, I think you have to respect that. You got to respect that. So here's some respect for Michael Moore that you probably didn't expect from me. Now, is that enough? If you take Michael Moore's debunking of the green energy market, if you add that to the fact that the people who are promoting climate change risk, their own numbers disprove their major theme, that is cataclysmic. Indeed, their own numbers show we wouldn't even notice. Is that enough to say that climate change is a hoax, even if it's true, that CO2 is causing warming, and even if it's true, we wish it weren't? I think yes.